The following episode describes graphic details of a fatal hit-and-run crash. Listener discretion is advised. It's around 4:45 a.m., January 3rd, 2012. It's a windy morning and a chilling 25 degrees outside. A motorist driving along Stafford Road in Wales sees something lying in the side of the road. The driver stops their car and immediately calls the police. The body of a young man, later identified as 23-year-old Cory Cane of Worcester, lies motionless along the south side of the tight two-lane Route 19. Cory had been struck by a passing vehicle. Police believe his body may have been left out in the cold on the side of the road for over 3 hours. Nearly 12 years later, and the fatal hit-and-run remains unsolved. Welcome back to Unsolved Worcester. I'm your host, Dan Yeager. Today's episode comes at the request of one of our many listeners who reached out to us to share the story of the unsolved hit-and-run death of 23-year-old Cory Cane in early 2012 in Wales. While Cory died outside of Worcester County, he was born in Worcester and lived on Vernon Hill in Worcester at the time of his death. Without hesitation, we made an exception to share Cory's story. Cory was staying at his girlfriend's home at the Wales Brookside Village Mobile Home Park on the night of January 3rd, 2012. Cory and his girlfriend were drinking that night, and she told reporters he went for a walk around 1 a.m. after she went to sleep. Cory's body was found along Stafford Road just before 5 a.m., about a mile away from the mobile home park. Unsolved Worcester takes a deep dive every Tuesday into the unsolved murders and missing persons cases under investigation by the Worcester Police Department's Detective Unit and the Massachusetts State Police. Our goal is to remind residents of the Worcester area, both past and present, that there are dozens of unsolved homicides and missing persons cases that need resolution. We hope we can be the spark needed to solve a case. Be sure to visit Unsolved Worcester on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and listen to all episodes for free at unsolvedworcester.com and on your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Check out the video for this episode with exclusive aerial views and more on the Unsolved Worcester YouTube page. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Cory Cane was 23 years old when he was the victim of a hit-and-run along Stafford Road in Wales on January 3rd, 2012. According to reports, Cory died of blunt force trauma to his brain, head, neck, and torso. At the time of his death, Cory left behind a young daughter, his parents, a brother, 2 sisters, 2 nephews, and a host of other family members and friends. Cory grew up in Worcester's Main South neighborhood before moving to Southbridge and then back to Worcester. He was the youngest of his siblings. When Cory turned 14, his sister Katrina became his legal guardian. Cory's last address was on Vernon Hill in Worcester, where he lived in his brother's apartment. On the night he died, Cory was staying at his girlfriend's house in Wales. They had just moved in together with his girlfriend's mother and her 2 young daughters at the Brookside Mobile Home Park, about a mile away from where Cory was found dead. He was supposed to start a new job as a cook at Francesco's restaurant in nearby Brimfield on the day he died. Cory was an addict. He had tried to give up drinking and drugs. He'd even been clean for the better part of a few months before the night he died. but reports indicate he was drinking and using cocaine on New Year's 2012 weekend. His girlfriend told a Telegram and Gazette reporter that Cory struggled with opiate addiction, but was committed to getting sober. Despite his struggles, Cory's family said he was fighting to stay on the road to recovery. Family and friends described him as fun and outgoing, so he's smiling. He was a good kid who would help anyone that needed it. Cory's mom described him as someone who would give you the shirt off his back. He liked to play basketball and ride bicycles. A friend of the family made a white cross in Cory's memory and placed it along Route 19 where Cory died. Just months after Cory died in May 2012, his family hosted a benefit at the former Skylight Roller Skating Center on Park Avenue in Worcester to raise money for Cory's headstone. Today, Cory is buried at Hope Cemetery in Worcester. An online memorial from Cory's family reads, "No one deserves to be left on the side of the road to die, and no parent deserves to bury their child. We are asking for everyone's help in finding the person or people who did this so our family can have some closure and Cory can finally rest in peace." On January 3rd, 2012, a section of Route 19, one end stretching to the Connecticut state line, was shut down for around 6 hours as police investigated the death of 23-year-old Cory Cane. According to a report in Mass Live, blood was on the ground in front of the home on Stafford Road where Cory was killed. Today, there are several questions that need to be answered in the hit-and-run crash that killed Cory. For starters, what was Cory doing walking down Route 19 and Stafford Road in Wales in the middle of the night in the cold of winter? What we do know is this: Cory was at his girlfriend's house that night. He was supposed to start a new job as a cook the same day he died. He had been drinking and doing drugs with his girlfriend. When Cory's body was found along the road, he was taken by ambulance to Harrington Hospital in Southbridge, where he was pronounced dead. Toxicology reports indicate he had alcohol and cocaine in his system. Cory's girlfriend told the Telegram and Gazette that Cory was having a rough night. Just hours before he died, he was crying over losing his young daughter to the adoption process, who had been adopted several weeks before Cory died. She said she went to sleep around 1 a.m. and woke up around 8 a.m. to find Cory missing. While they couldn't pinpoint an exact time of death, investigators believed Cory left the mobile home park on foot around 1:30 a.m. and was struck and killed shortly after. Investigators believe Cory was walking down the road when he was struck by the side view mirror of a large vehicle, maybe a box truck. By 2016, Cory's sister Katrina Stoliker had hired a private investigator to look into her brother's death. The investigator, Sarah Stein, was instrumental in assisting the family of Molly Bish when Molly went missing in 2000. Unsolved Worcester will explore Molly's case in this season's final episode. According to a report in the Telegram and Gazette, Stein said that the box truck or large vehicle theory didn't add up, and said the police investigation was more reactive than proactive. Stoliker told reporters she believed law enforcement gave up on the case quickly because of Cory's history of drug use. In a released statement from the Hampton County District Attorney's Office on June 1st, 2016, the DA said, through the course of the investigation, it was determined that Cory Cane was struck by a motor vehicle and died as a result of these injuries. Initially, members of the Wales Police Department and Massachusetts State Police detectives, along with the Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Unit, chemists from the State Police Crime Lab, and Crime Scene Services Section, collected and analyzed evidence on the scene, canvassed the area, and spoke with passers-by. Unfortunately, with limited evidence and no known eyewitnesses, investigators were left with few leads and little to follow up on. Nearly 12 years later, Cory's case remains unsolved. His death is among 85 unsolved homicide cases listed under investigation by the Hampton County District Attorney's Office. Thank you for listening. I'm Dan Yeager. Don't miss another episode. Click the notification button to get alerts when new episodes of Unsolved Worcester drop. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider clicking the like button for us. And if you subscribe, the next episode will show up in your feed. Click the bell on the right and select all, and you'll get a notification of when the next episode is ready. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. We do read them all and respond to as many as we can. Anyone with information about the unsolved hit-and-run case of Cory Cane are asked to contact the Massachusetts State Police Troopers assigned to the Hampton County District Attorney's Office at 413-505-5993 or the Wales Police Department at 413-245-7222. Come back next time for episode 8 of Unsolved Worcester Season 6 and the unsolved murder of 22-year-old Lenny Valerio. Lenny was shot and killed. He was found on the side of Reservoir Road in Holden on June 2nd, 2018. Special thanks to the Worcester Public Library, the Worcester Police Department, the City of Worcester, and our sponsors for making this possible. Information on Cory Cane's death was gathered from multiple resources, including the Hampton County District Attorney's Office, the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, Mass Live, WCVB, Channel 5, and more. The Unsolved Worcester podcast music is provided by Tom Lebelzik of the Worcester Jazz Collective. This episode is written and produced by Pat Sargent. Drone footage provided by Ron Scott at Chasing Daylight Studio. Videography and editing by Colin Turner. This program is supported in part by a grant from the Worcester Arts Council and the National Endowment for the Arts. To find out more about how National Endowment for the Arts grants impact individuals and communities, visit www.arts.gov.